Hello, hello, Milwaukee. This is Wisconsin Voices Be a Voice, 8:60 a.m. Y'all, I have to start by saying, ooh, Keon look pretty today. Do we have? Oh, I'm sorry, handsome.
Ooh, nice
Cameraman, can you please do a close up?
I look damn fine today.
You aren't you going to be humble or anything?
Nope, I did that. It cost me 10 years of my life in the wrong spot.
Put it down a little bit more.
Tilted.
That's what I meant. Okay.
You know, they said a flower is not a flower if it's wilted, and a hat's not a hat until it's tilted.
I just heard a phrase that I had not heard before, and I guess this has been around a while, but I'm old. But hoochie daddy shorts.
Hoochie daddy.
Yeah, it's the like kind of shorts that are they used to be walking shorts, but I guess they call hoochie daddy shorts now.
Nah.
Oh, you guys, I'm telling you, somebody. No. I'm talking about they're for men. They're called hoochie daddy shorts. So okay, if I'm the only one that has ever heard that, okay, but I swear I just heard this and
like what is a hoochie daddy?
So you know those.
I thought they just called them men.
I guess there's different.
No,
I'm not calling him that. I'm calling him what the
so
shorts
what would
are.
The hoochie daddy shorts mean? We know what Daisy Dukes are. It's what Daisy Duke wore.
Right, but I guess I don't know who hoochie or daddy is, but that's I'm just saying I don't know. Welcome to Be a Voice. I missed y'all on Friday.
Glad to have you back.
Thank you. We're going to introduce the one staff member today because Latoya and Brian, they needed to take a breather today, but they'll be back tomorrow. And we have
Joe Dre, Policy Director for Wisconsin Voices.
See, me and Joe, we have never been together. I don't think together.
Not just us two. This is the first time. Yeah.
Let's see how this vibe go.
Oh boy, I'm nervous.
So this week we have some great people. We're going to be doing some awesome work. We're going to be talking about a lot of political stuff. But we're going to continue our series of interviewing electeds. And we're just trying to get the base and the foundation of who they are. What is their job? What do they do? And kind of getting a grip on the surface of who they are. Now it's your job, everybody's job to deep dive into these people, see what their policies are. That is your civic duty. Guest, how are you?
I'm well. Thanks so much.
He looks a little nervous, Keon.
He just wasn't ready for you to start talking to him while he was drinking water.
That's true.
I did that on purpose.
Yeah, no, loud and dirty.
Caught me.
The setup.
Introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Jack Ekblad. I am a candidate for county supervisor in District 4. And just so people know where that is, District 4 is actually a pretty unique piece of political real estate in the state of Wisconsin. We go from the largest water port in the state of Wisconsin south to the largest airport in the state of Wisconsin. And in between, we have 53,000 voters who vote way more often than average. It's pretty great.
Oh, so you actually got to work to get that vote. You can't just say, well, it's a low voter turnout. It's, if I get a few hundred people to go vote for me, I'm gonna be all right. You actually have to work.
Correct. Yeah, and it's been a lot of work since August, but it's been a lot of really good work, Tamika. We have a volunteer organization that is more than 50 volunteers who participated on some level. We've knocked more than 10,000 doors, and the conversations have just been really positive. It's been great.
Let's start with first question I always ask, and if you have listened to the show, you'll know what I'm about to ask. You know what I'm about to ask?
Or if he talked to the political director, the policy director before the show.
Oh, see,
while we were waiting, he may have a little bit of insight to the question.
I should have written it down as a cheat sheet,
but you know what? You could have just you could have been like so brilliant and said, well, yes, I do know what this is, and this is what it is. But he told on you. But what does a county supervisor do, in your words? Or I'm usually looking for the definition, but what do you think a county supervisor does?
So we'll give you both. We'll give you the textbook flashcard definition. It is the legislative representative for a district on the county board, which is the legislative body overseeing the county. Now, this is a body whose power was kind of gutted under Abley and Walker. So it's now a part-time position, but the board itself is primarily responsible for administration of the county parks, oversight of the transit system, MCTS, and then also budgetary oversight of the rest of the county. But
So I'm going to tell you, let's not try to use acronyms because sometimes you don't know. He's talking about the Milwaukee County Transit System
Correct,
when he
yeah,
says MCTS. Some people know, some people don't, but we want to make sure that we're like informed on everything.
Of course.
And that is one of the things. I think the other day somebody said, what does that mean? Now I'm conscious and aware of it. So
Okay.
now I'm going to make sure that people actually know what some of these acronyms are.
Well, and I appreciate you slowing me down. As an aspiring politician, I can talk. So,
Oh,
so thanks.
no, you're not. I'm not slowing you down. I'm just so. Tell us. We're gonna start off with a really simple question, which is really hard for a lot of people. But tell us about yourself, like just who the man Jack is.
Yeah. So I, at my core, I'm a trained progressive Democratic activist. I've been a trained activist for the last 15 years. The first 3 of that was really about organizing on political campaigns. And then since then, I found other outlets for my activism, mostly working for organizations that directly serve the unhoused or immigrants. My background, though, as a progressive Democrat has been working on campaigns for progressive candidates and issues in places that are either deeply purple or deeply Republican. So my first campaign built the first public school in West Bend, Wisconsin in over 40 years. And for anyone who doesn't know the political landscape of Wisconsin, West Bend is probably arguably the most difficult town in the state in which to be a progressive Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And the philosophy we used on those campaigns is really at the core of why I'm running and how I'm running.
But this is a nonpartisan seat.
Correct. This is
Okay.
a nonpartisan seat. But I
we
like
just
to be
want
honest
to,
about it.
explain that. But keep going.
Yeah. I just like to be really honest about what my values are. And if you look at my door card, they're really spelled out. The reason why we were able to win in places that were either deeply mixed or deeply Republican was because we started with a philosophy of, first of all, being really honest that we were progressives and being ready for some really honest disagreement with folks. And then we used that honest disagreement to build the trust that was needed to go work on things where we agreed together.
So what do you see as some of the major issues that are facing your district where you're running?
Yeah, I think the county as a whole is really at this inflection point, right? We passed a sales tax to get us this very short-term small surplus, but we do still have a structural deficit at the county. And for anyone at home who's wondering what a structural deficit is, over time, the overall cost of the services the county provides, which is substantial, is growing faster than the rate of our revenues. And so we're going to start hitting what they call fiscal cliffs in the next coming years, especially for the Milwaukee County Transit System. That's going to be one of the big ones. And so I do think that the board over these next couple of years is going to have to figure out how to put the things that matter most to daily quality of life, the county parks, the transit system, on a firmer, more sustainable footing. And thankfully, thanks to the leadership of folks like Executive Crowley and Chairman Marcellia, we have the leadership at the county right now to, I think, do that.
So how do we do that without cutting those vital programs that are so important to folks within the district? Like you talk about, mass transit. A lot of folks within your district, I'm sure, rely upon that mass transit to get around. So how do you prioritize?
Yeah, so really when it comes down to it, the crux of it is we need a dedicated revenue source, and those negotiations are going on with the state. If you look at the vast majority of public bus systems, ours is unique in the sense that it has to go back every 12 months for a fresh budget. And there's a reason you can't find that many other places, because it's a bad way to run a public bus system. If we get dedicated taxes that allow us to plan for the future, it's going to really lift a huge weight off of the county budget. And then, in terms of parks, I think the great news about the parks is that we actually have several playbooks that are working already. One that the Wisconsin Policy Forum has documented is partnerships with Milwaukee Municipal Sewerage District. So all the drainage and stuff. And the Milwaukee Municipal Sewerage has two things that are really helpful as the parks. They have jurisdiction, so they can go wherever the parks are, and they have money. And we can partner with them on things like the pond in Humboldt Park is a great example in our district. That pond is great for fishing in the summer. It's great for ice skating in the winter, and it's great for drainage year round. And we can scale those types of partnerships when we need to. We do also have two examples of completely county-run beer gardens in the 4th District, South Shore and Humboldt. And I'm not a proponent of a beer garden in every park, but I do think it's a business model that could really benefit other parks in the system. I mean, Mitchell Park would be top of my mind, I would think.
414-444-5250 if you have a question for Jack. Just Jack. I want to
Heard that one
ask the you seem knowledgeable, but what made you want to run? And I want to preface that this is actually an open seat.
Correct. It's an open seat.
This is an open seat. The incumbent decided not to run. I think that was Ryan Clancy.
Correct.
He did not. He's a state rep now. He is not running for reelection, so this is an open seat. Why did you run?
Yeah, so this is kind of in my blood. I've come from a family that goes back generations with public service. My grandparents actually rescued the Stevens Point bus system when it went bankrupt, restarted it as a co-op, and sold it back to the city. I grew up watching my mom on school board, and my dad was the first minister in West Bend to openly welcome LGBTQ members of the community into the congregation. So, public activism has always been kind of in my blood from early on. Also, as an organizer, I almost always worked on the local level. My last race was a congressional race, but other than that, it's been homeless shelters, public schools. The beautiful thing about organizing on that level is that you can change your block for the better. And when we moved back to Milwaukee, I was looking around and I was like, oh, we live on a pretty nice block. I wonder if there's a block party that they plan, because it seems like it'd be appropriate. And it turns out that the person who had left, or just a person who had organized it, left years ago, and so no one had thrown it since. And I was like, so all you need is someone insufferable enough to hand out flyers, and we can have a block party every year. And that kind of change, just introducing neighbors to each other, being able to change the shape of your street so that they're safer, make sure that the next generation has public parks, is just a really powerful thing. And I believe in it very deeply.
Some of the, I commend the people who are on the county board, because you have it's a very defined what you guys do, but it's so vast. So it's defined of, I always look at it as, and I will keep looking at it as, how do I put this? A way to help quality of life issues. And
That's exactly right.
And it's like, do I get to one side of the city easier, on a bus, or how do I help my child with social services? It's helping me. So that's kind of how I look at the county, as quality of life issues.
Absolutely right.
And I think all local government is quality of life issues, for that matter. What you've talked about, you seem to know a lot about the organizational structure of it, but what is that one issue that really kind of irks you and you want to try to fix? You obviously you need help with 18 people, but what is that one, or 17 other people, but what is that one thing that you just really, if you could just sprinkle something and it fixes, what is that one thing you want to fix?
Well, can I take two?
Oh yeah,
Thank you.
You always got to go for
a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think long term we need dedicated revenue for the bus system. When you talk about equity in Milwaukee, you need to talk about the bus system. People talk about the fact that we are high up in racial segregation in Milwaukee. What we also need to talk about is the fact that we often win economic segregation outright, nationwide. And if you take away the bus system from Milwaukee County, you degrade it significantly, you are going to severely negatively impact quality of life here. And those decisions are coming to the board sooner rather than later. If I could sprinkle something, though, it would be constituent services across the 4th District. There are kids in District 4 who I think we have the oldest playground in Airport Gardens.
Mm-hmm.
It would be really great to see kids playing on a brand new playground in Airport Gardens. Saveland Park has had a wading pool closed because of lifeguards and infrastructure. A quick, cheap, easy fix might be a splash pad, and then you get what is currently a gated off area of concrete. and you got kids playing and splashing in the summer,
and it could be a source of revenue if you charge, $1 or $2 or whatever it is just to come in to help with maintenance. Those people like me, like if I had a baby, I would pay a couple dollars so they could play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It also helps maintain the services that are being provided. 414-444-5250. If you have any questions of Jack. I love that name. I'm thinking just Jack. But
there's a reason we put
that?
it real big on the signs.
Do you do just Jack?
I don't think so. I don't think I've ever caught myself doing it.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, we'll ignore that part, because
Sorry to disappoint you.
Jack is fun. One of the other, I think crucial things is when they talk about, I haven't heard you really say anything about the jail or the services because I know there was a big issue when in regards to like privatizing some of the services that are over there, arguing back and forth, what is going on, what's not going on when it comes to that. Do you know anything about that, or are you interested in learning about it? Because that is a big thing for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I really, really appreciate you bringing it up. It's usually the third topic we bring up anytime we have the conversation. You talk about the jail itself. Let's just take a moment and unpack the Milwaukee County Jail right now. I mean, people have died in that jail. In a country that is not good at running prisons, we have an especially bad one in Milwaukee County, and that should tell you how bad it's gotten. There is an independent audit that they're currently starting to conduct, and the next county supervisor from District 4 is going to need to work with, the chairwoman of the county board, the county executive, David Crowley, to make sure that audit comes back with significant and hard-hitting policy changes at the jail. The sheriff has said they are understaffed, and we've actually recently fixed that. The staffing is back up to 85-90% from what I read in Urban Milwaukee. But now we're at the point where we need to acknowledge that more people doing the same thing is not the answer at the county jail. And the deeper issue there is, quite apart from the moral aspect of people perishing, is that it erodes public trust in law enforcement. And what I've heard over and over again from potential constituents at the doors is they want law enforcement that has the public trust. And the sheriff's department has some work to do. And I think the county board has some really important work to do, helping them restore that trust.
414-444-5250. We are going to take a break. Once we take a break, we're going to come back and talk a little bit more to the candidate. We'll be right back.
Did you know that voter education includes women and men that are currently incarcerated? While they cannot vote, the fact is they have family and friends who can vote. Expo has been contacting these men and women with accurate information on who is eligible to vote. At Expo's People in Politics events, we engage our local communities in discussing important issues. We educate the people in our community on what unlock the vote means and how voter disenfranchisement disproportionately impacts people of color, excluding thousands of people in Wisconsin from voting. Expo has trainings on state budget process and how legislation is crafted and passed. For more information, please visit our website at expowisconsin.org. And remember, you have a right not to remain silent.
You're listening to Wisconsin Voices, BA Voice Radio. Follow us at BAWI Voice and learn more at wisconsinvoices.org.
50.8% of Wisconsin voters are female. Women drive Wisconsin elections. Free was born in 2016 as the women of Expo needed space to lift each other up and address the unique pathways and issues women face related to incarceration. Formerly incarcerated and system-impacted women want you to exercise your right to vote. If you're a woman with a prior felony conviction but are no longer on community supervision, you are eligible to vote. Visit www.myvote.wi.gov to register today. If you are currently on felony probation, parole, or extended supervision in Wisconsin, please be a vote influencer. You can still share your experience, encourage folks to register to vote, drive them to the polls, and educate them on the candidate issues that are important to you. Freedom comes when we reclaim it. Participating in democracy is a vital part to have your voice heard and to influence change. Please visit www.expowisconsin.org and join the fight in Wisconsin against felony disenfranchisement.
Wisconsin Voices' 3 pillars: protecting democracy, teaching advocacy, building community.
You are now listening to Wisconsin Voices, Be a Voice Radio.
You're listening to WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee.
I'm waiting for the magic hand. Oh, and we're back with Be a Voice on Wisconsin Voices. Be a Voice. We were off the air. We were talking to Jack, and he was telling us about the struggle, the hard hitting thing that keeps him up at night. And I think people should know about that.
Well, it's more of a joy than a struggle, but a 1.5-year-old does tend to reduce your sleep. That's
No nap.
No.
Yeah.
Running. All right, come here. And then giving that little sly look. And then all of a sudden they take off running in the opposite direction. And
yeah, and he runs. He runs at this point. He goes, "Rah!" and he just takes off. And it's like,
when we do these, we want people to really just get to know the candidate, because like I said, if you know your person and you feel like there's a connection there, you will vote for them. You have faith in them. And that is one thing that a lot of people don't do. They always come on and they talk about their issues, which is very important, extremely important, like 80% importance. But also just knowing the depths of the person and their commitment to the job that they're doing. It's real.
yeah.
Me and Jack were talking a little bit before the show, and that you had moved away prior to, and then you came back to
Oh, he left
Milwaukee.
us? Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. He
So
left me?
maybe you could tell them a little bit about, what brought you back here, what brought you back to this area. What do you love so much about Milwaukee?
Yeah, so we left because my wife got into grad school, which is awesome. She's a remarkable woman. I'm just madly in love with her. But when your wife gets into grad school, you move to wherever that is, and it was Boston, and we loved Boston. I mean, Boston was a great town, but when we looked around and realized we were going to start a family, we immediately looked at moving back to Milwaukee. And I got to be perfectly honest, we didn't really look anywhere except Bayview. We were just we've always been in love with the neighborhood, and doing tours. When I meet someone who recently moved in, I always say, congratulations, you made it. You're never going to want to leave. Whether you rent or you own, you feel like an owner in that neighborhood, and it's great.
Well, it's good. You should have looked in Glendale, but I'm biased. I am biased in my opinion to that. Joe.
Yeah.
When can we vote for him?
We can start voting next week on March 19th.
Early
Early
voting.
voting starts. It'll go
What-
through March
what?
30th. And then again, the election on election day on April 2nd.
Yeah, for the majority of my district, early voting is going to be at Tippecanoe Library.
Okay.
Right. And the thing is, you can go to the what is it, the Zilber building,
Yes.
So any of those locations you can go to, if you're well, because I want to stress that, because if what happens if they work on the north side
Mhm.
and they want to come, go vote, but by the time they get all the way back to the south side, all of a sudden
Yeah.
it's closed. So early voting is early voting,
Early voting is early voting.
and we really, if you can't, you have a hard time, and this is one of the things I stress. A couple years ago, I had voted every year, and there was a gentleman, I wish I could find him, but in Glendale, when early voting started, there was a gentleman and I, on the first day of early voting, we almost had a race to see who was going to be there first. It was an older gentleman. I think he had always been, the person that voted early.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden here I come. So in the next couple, and I remember it was a February, April, August, November election. So there was more that year, and I think I got there in February early. So then he was parked there in April when I saw him. And I don't know how it happened, but we were kind of trying to do this race to get there. But I felt kind of badly because he had a little cane. So I kind of, did this lap him. And then the next year he hid behind, I parked in and I didn't see his car. So he kind of hid by the door. So when 8 o'clock hit, he was right by the door and he walked in.
Mhm.
We never said anything, but voting can be fun. This is a thing that we look at. But there was one time that I was out of town and I almost wasn't able to vote.
Mhm.
And I decided to get a ballot. If I know I'm doing something or I'm getting busy, I early vote, or there's times where I'm like, I don't have time. I'm going to get it mailed to my house. And when I get it mailed to my house, then I can, fill it out in the comfort of my own home and put it right back in the mailbox, and my vote is counted, but I don't have to worry about that day. And then there's people who, I got to vote on that day, and that's great, but there are options to go out and vote and do your thing.
And you can register same day. So if you are not registered to vote in Wisconsin, on election day, you can walk in and register to vote.
Right. And I would suggest, because there is a moratorium before an election, 20 days before an election, that you can't online register. So you'll have to go to your county clerk, your city clerk, whatever your clerk is, and register, or you can register at the early voting places.
And at your polling location on election day.
On election day. Most people know that they can register on election day, but they'll go to the website like on March 27th, and they're not able to register that way. So they have to go either early vote or go register at their clerk's office. This is important. This is your duty. This is one of the few things that you're supposed to do as a citizen. And that's, jury duty voting. And by the way, I'm going to kick that Civics 101 class. We do talk about that. WisconsinVoices.org. You like the way I threw that in there?
Yeah.
I guess I have one or two big questions. Is in your district, is there that one thing that is an issue that may not be an issue for other districts? Because sometimes there is that one thing that you have that no one else sees, and it's not really a big problem in another district, but it is in yours. Do you have that? You may not, but do you have?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of neighborhood by neighborhood. I think if you talk to folks in what I would call like the core of Bayview against the lake, they want South Shore Park to have a new floor underneath the jungle gym. Because it's kind of deteriorating. If you talk to folks who live around the airport, they need a new park at that airport, and they're having to jump through regulatory hoops to get it. There's also the reality of an incredibly diverse district that includes places like the Islamic Community Center of Milwaukee. We also have an enormous amount of logistics and transportation around the airport. So the Gateway Business District is right there in District 4. And, if you look at the infrastructure, in District 4, between the airport and the port, we are a fundamental artery for the state of Wisconsin. So that all those different kind of fabrics of issues we have, by and large, a larger number of immigrants and refugees than most other places in the state of Wisconsin. The DMV is right near our district. I think it's just outside the border across Chase Avenue, and trying to get things like language services for Rohingya refugees is part of a concern that this office is going to have to address. And so there's it's 53,000 people, so I wouldn't say there's one thing that all 53,000 agree on, but when you break down the different neighborhoods, different communities, they all have different issues.
Well, and I was talking more so, and you answered the question, because I was like, you found some specific things for your district that may not align, or somebody else may not. Don't even have that issue whatsoever. I guess that is how do you go about that? Because you have to, if you need something specific, and this is why I asked the question, you need something specific for your district, and and you have to convince 17 other people to vote with you about something that may not even touch their district.
Exactly. And this really goes back to the core of my experience as an organizer. When I was trained, we used the same playbook that Obama used in New Hampshire and Iowa. And that was written by a gentleman named Marshall Gans, who worked with Cesar Chavez in Southern California. And really what it's about is you tell a story that highlights your values. And what it gives people permission to do is disagree with you, but relate to at the same time. And then that process of transparent disagreement, I know this is hard to believe in 2024, but it actually builds trust, not rancor, if it's done correctly. And that trust is what's absolutely crucial to working alongside folks. And I'll just add that this is a position that's part-time. You don't just have to convince 17 other people. You probably have to convince the alderperson and work really closely with the state representatives for the district. And we've been really grateful for the support that we've received from the Common Council and the state level representatives in the district.
Well, Mr. Jack, can you tell them how they look at your website or all your campaign information?
You can look at our campaign website at jack4formke.com, jack4mke.com. The email and the phone number on that website go directly to me. We also have our Facebook page, Facebook/jack4mke. And it's all right there on the website.
Well, good luck.
Good luck to you.
The election is April 2nd.
Early voting starts March 19th.
And you are in District 4. And that is open seat. The incumbent was Ryan Clancy. Good luck.
Thank you so much for having me.
Good luck
Really
to you,
appreciate it.
You're listening to Wisconsin Voices Be a Voice Radio. Follow us at BAWI Voice and learn more at wisconsinvoices.org.
Does politics make you feel like you're under attack? Are you tired of feeling hopeless with the current condition of your community? Well, it's time for you to be victorious. It's time to vote. Know your candidates, know who's on the ballot, and know what seats they are running for. Get involved and let's take back our community at the polls.
Wisconsin Voices 3 pillars: protecting democracy, teaching advocacy, building community.
We've got work to do. We need everybody, every person, every voter to show up. We have to help ourselves because there are energies that are coming to rob us. of our future, of our opportunity, and potentially of our vote. We cannot take a break. We must show up in numbers. We must vote.
Please join Wisconsin Voices every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. We will be focusing on community partnerships, voter education, and long-term collective impact for all Wisconsinites.
WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee.
Welcome back to Be a Voice. Why are you looking at me like that?
What? You want this to be a drama show? You want Wendy Williams and the Breakfast Crew? Or you want what?
We can do it all. Come on. How you know
What's the mood in, Cletus?
Yeah.
Cleaster's sister.
City of Milwaukee. Violence is not the answer.
No, we just sparring.
Verbally sparring is what we do.
Temper.
I think he feeling kind of bougie because he got his fedora today, and
It's a slick hat.
Yeah, he think he doing something. 414-444-5250. Be a voice, and we have a guest here. We got to treat all our guests equally, but this is kind of political royalty. What you think, Kia?
In my neighborhood, she is.
In your neighborhood? Is she your alder person?
6th district, baby.
Oh. 6th district, city.
Make a phone call, get it done.
I can't say that one. City of Milwaukee, District 6, Alderwoman Malele Cox. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
She came rushing in here. You know, she's supposed to be, she was late. She had to take care of her business. I'm telling all the business. We here. This is first question I'm gonna ask you before we get into who you are and what you do. Mm-hmm. What does an alderman do? Now, if you can't answer this question,
take my notes, Malele.
How long have you been in?
In April, it'll be 16 years.
Okay. So you should be able to answer this question. One more time, 414-444-5250. Malele, please tell me, what does an alder person do?
We're the legislative branch of local government. So, of course, we make ordinances and pass resolutions on basic laws. But we primarily have power over the basic quality of life stuff like fire, police, the health department. That light that's out on your block, you call your alder person to help get that taken care of. That pothole that's on your street, you call your alder person to get that filled. So that's primarily what we do, taking care of the basic quality of life issues for residents of the city of Milwaukee. There are 15 common council members. We each represent nearly 40,000 people.
Okay, I only represent 2,200. So, okay. Why did you get into this game? Because we've been asking the newcomers to say why did you get in it. We're asking kind of incumbents. Why did you get into it, and then why do you stay That's a big difference.
Yeah, we have 6 generations of folks in my family who have been in positions of public servants. As a result, as a kid, people always ask what you want to do when you grow up. It was not really what you want to do. So you gonna do this, right?
Yeah.
And so as a result, I was like, no, I'm never gonna do that. Get out my face with that kind of thing. But I found myself through school, through undergraduate, always being called to leadership. Just circumstances just always called me to leadership, whether it's serving as president of student government, president of the class, president of the dorm, whatever. And then when I went to law school is when I really made the decision. When I got the opportunity to come back here after I left Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee, came back to University of Wisconsin-Madison for law school, and sitting in those law classes that first semester and arguing about the cases we were reading and all of that, it really hit me that we have people of African descent in this country have more control if we have some power in the creation of the law than we do about its interpretation once it's already written in court. And while I do believe I could be a great, attorney in the courtroom about interpreting a law, I just felt like I have so much better influence with helping to create quality law. So I knew that whatever I did professionally, it would be something that had to do with legislation. Didn't know exactly what pathway or what role. And then when I graduated from law school, that's right when the county supervisors were going through all those recalls for the pension scandal. So my godfather, former county supervisor James White, gave me a call because he needed help managing his campaign because nobody else wanted to touch it because all the other county supervisors lost on their recalls. And, I wasn't doing anything. And I said, well, let me put all this years of knowledge and understanding from having worked on family campaigns and other campaigns to work. So I did it and we won. We were the first campaign to win one of those recalls. And after that, my phone just started blowing up for people wanting me to work on everything from congressional to gubernatorial to U.S. Senate campaigns. So started a consulting company, worked on a whole bunch of other campaigns. And then an opportunity to run for alderperson came.
Who was there before you?
So before me, Mike McGee Jr.
Okay.
served for
All
the
right.
6th, but that wasn't the first time I ran. A lot of people don't remember the first time I ran. It was called the 10th District. I was 25 years old.
Did you lose?
And I lost. Yeah.
But it made you grow. We got a call.
Definitely made me grow.
Let's see who's on the caller.
Good morning to you, Sister Malele. Assalamu alaikum to you, and thank you for taking my call. Yes, ma'am. It's somewhat more of a, not like a, I don't know if it's a complaint or whatnot, but here's the thing. The lights, I don't know if this has if you have purview over this type of thing, but you, and I have no issue, but the lights, the street lights from, I think it's from like 3rd and Concordia all the way to Capitol by the freeway, they like go out for days, like every night. They don't come on at all. So I don't know if, since you on the radio,
well, that's kind of smart. I mean, like, if you, because now she got to take care of it no matter what, because everybody heard it.
Yeah, she does. She's a great alder person and the alder woman, and I know she on top of everything. She's made the East Side look really good for Black people, but there's an issue about these lights, these street lights. There's a lot of older people who are homeowners, and when I go to work, the lights don't come on. And when I get back from work, the lights haven't been on at all, as far as the street lights. So I don't know if there's anything that you can do about it. It's from 3rd and Concordia all the way to like 3rd and Capitol, where the freeway thing is. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I know what you're talking about. When was the most recent time you saw him out?
Just like 2 nights ago.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
You know what? That is a smart caller. I'm just saying, if you got your alderperson there, you just went straight to him.
But that's how it's done, right?
But that is,
when you have a problem, you approach your alderperson and try to get this problem resolved.
And so people know with lights, it's not like we have a big circuit board downtown and we know what's out and what's not. All we know is what people call in to let us know. And then too, I'll just be transparent with everybody. We're dealing in some areas in our district, especially with some really old circuitry. So even if you call, they might come out and fix it, and it still might be out again in a week or whatever. So you still have to keep calling and keep calling. The importance of you to keep calling is one, so they can keep fixing it. But two, at some point, we probably need to update these circuitries. And there is some infrastructure money coming from the feds that's helping deal with some of that. But the way we prioritize them is oftentimes based upon those calls of complaint or whatever. So I don't want you to ever think it's futile for you to keep calling it in or whatever. Sometimes that may help it become a greater priority in the future when it comes to for real replacement. Because honestly, in the district, we do have some parts where so many complaints have come in and infrastructure money has become available where now is whole circuitries getting redone. So I just encourage people, as futile as it may feel, to just keep calling those in and keep calling those in.
I'm looking at your information, your literature. You have 4, I guess, standards, like our 3 pillars: protect democracy, build community, teach advocacy. You like that? You like that? But yours is strengthening neighborhoods, investing in our youth, economic development, and community collaboration. If you had to only do one of those, which one would you do? I know they're all important, but which one would you really, really focus on if you could only, if someone said, look, Malayla, you got great ideas, but during this term you can only focus on one. Which one makes a bigger impact?
Community collaboration.
Okay.
Because all the things that people give me credit for, the more than 800 pieces of legislation, the more than a dozen initiatives, and the tons of citywide programs that I've helped to create, none of them would be possible if it wasn't for partnerships and support and sponsorships and buy-in from other partners and community members. So definitely the community collaboration, without a doubt.
I love the way she said, what people give me credit for, and then bust out her resume. That was slick. That was slick, wasn't it?
You gotta know what you're doing to get where you're going.
Yeah. 414-444-5250. If you have a question, concern, comment, want to just talk to Alderwoman Malayla Cox.
I do want to add something earlier when I said just call in. I never want to assume that people know already where to call in. You can call into our office, 286-2994, or you can call the city number, which is 286-CITY, CITY. So for any city stuff, whether it's potholes, whether it's lights, whether it's whatever, immediately you can call into 286-CITY.
And some people may call neighborhood services. Some, there's a plethora of places you can call. Do not, and one thing that we teach in our Civics 101 class, try to know what each branch of government does, so you don't waste your time calling your state rep for a pothole. Or calling, when you have a problem with your unemployment and you calling Malayla saying, hey, my unemployment check didn't come, or I'm having issues with unemployment. Know your social security check. You might have to call, Congresswoman Gwen Moore. All of those things you should know, so you don't waste your time and then not thinking that they're not responding, but they're looking at, the messages like, this is not my privy, and having to call you back to say, no, you need to call this other representative. On a side note, because I also think it is super important, I know you're running for office, but there is one thing that you do that I think is community led, and I want to talk about this a little bit. Your Girls Day. How long have you been doing it? What you doing with the Girls Day?
When I got elected in 2008 to represent the 6th district, there were no other women on the 15-member council. And before me, there were only the 4 years before me, there were no women at all, about 15 men. And in the total of the city, it's been over 1,000 men who have served as aldermen. But I was the 14th woman ever elected. Now there's been 20 women. One of the efforts that I and other women.
Wait, go back. You said you were 14 and there's been 20. So there's only added 4 women in the, or 6 women in the 16 years that you've been in. Okay.
And it's a few women up for this coming election. So we'll see come April. We'll probably break that 20 number. But yeah, so one of the things that myself and some other women at City Hall and thinking about how to attract more women to office, we thought about, you could train adult women and all of that kind of stuff, how to run, how to be candidates. But we thought about, why not begin to expose young women, middle and high school age, young ladies to positions in public service, both elected and non-elected, because everybody's not going to run for office, but everybody has the opportunity to give back to the communities they come from. And so out of that idea birthed Girls' Day at City Hall. The first Girls' Day at City Hall was 14 years ago, and we do it every March, which is Women's History Month. The first one had 38 girls. At our highest pre-COVID number, we were at 400. During COVID, we kept it going just virtually. And since COVID, we've peeled it back just for size safety reasons to 250, which is where we kept it at. And so now we are in our 14th year. And on March 20th, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at City Hall. City Hall will be full of 250 young women being exposed to women in elective office and women in different careers of public service, with the hopes that someday they may themselves consider running for office and or serving in some sort of public service career. We will also be giving out a Girls' Day scholarship to a young woman who has attended Girls' Day and who has been accepted to college to study in a field that's a service-oriented field. And we will also be giving out the Val Phillips Trailblazer Award, were it not for Val Phillips being the first woman and the first African American, the rest of us 19 women wouldn't have had a chance. So in her legacy and her remembrance, we give out a Val Phillips Trailblazer Award every year as well. So to be speakers, panelists, all of those things available for the young women on March 20th at City Hall, and people have to pre-register.
Well, I'm gonna be petty because I've been doing this Girls' Day since I got elected. For school board and then alderman, and I've been a panelist I think for the last 4 or 5 years, except for this year I got bumped I don't even know why I got bumped. No, but the Girls' Day is very important. It is it lets some people who don't have access to come to the city hall, who don't have access to actually come and sit in the common council area to see how it feels. I remember last year one girl was like, I could do this, but I want this seat over here. Who sits here? And I think she was probably in a 7th or 8th grade. She's like, well, I'm gonna move there when I get old. And that's the seat. You know what? She might have spoke that into fruition. Right. And if it wasn't for Girls' Day, maybe she was not she wouldn't got exposed to it. Why should they reelect you?
I recognize that folks, elect each of us because they want us to help improve their quality of life. And I think that sometimes people, they're looking for the things that they can see, touch, and feel. A lot of the work we do is stuff you would never be able to see, touch, and feel.
Can you explain that a little bit?
We pass legislation all the time that might affect your life in a way, but it's not affecting your money. It's not affecting your household. It's not affecting your street. So you might not see it, touch it, or feel it, but it is affecting your life. And much of the legislation we do is probably like that, which is why it's easy for folks to say, all those politicians aren't doing anything because they don't see, touch, or feel it. But while I know that that's a majority of what we do, I try to also balance that with things people can see, touch, and feel, so that, what good is change or improvement if you're not feeling it and seeing it as well. And I tend to think that once people see it and feel it, it also inspires them to help bring about even more change. And so that opens the door to that collaboration I was talking about and all of that stuff earlier. And it's just more powerful and easier to move stuff forward when it's not just you working on it, when it's others who have stepped to the plate because they see and believe and want to be a part of that change as well. So for me, I've spent 16 years collaborating and building and learning and growing. And I feel as if much of what I've learned from work that may have been done over here is so transferable to other parts of the district, of the city, and all of that kind of thing. And right now, I'm the most senior African American on the council, and with so many new folks coming onto the council because of the open seats, I think it's such a energizing moment for the city to help. I would love to not only be able to continue to work in my district, to build upon the things that have already been done, and to even be better at it now that I know more, have experienced more, and have seen more, but to also be a part of helping to usher in this new leadership for the city as a whole. I would love to be a part of that. Plus, I don't know if people are paying attention, but it's a great likelihood for the first time ever in the history of this city that the majority of the Common Council will be African American.
Oh.
It's a great, just by numbers, just if you count the numbers and the likelihood of what the results will likely be in these elections for the first time ever in this city's history, that's a great possibility. So being able to help lead in a moment like this and helping to move the city forward is something that I would love for the residents of the 6th District to give me the opportunity to do.
We got a caller. Caller, go ahead.
Good morning, and thank you for taking my call. I would like to say I'm very familiar with God. She does an excellent job. Well educated, overqualified for the job, and she would be a tremendous help with the new ones coming in and training them. The only thing is that people think that aldermen have to do everything for them. You call her your alderman at the last resort, not the first resort. And I think I know she has an administrative assistant when she's not available to handle some things. But I know one thing, I'm encouraging everyone and my friends that are in her district to vote for her because she's invaluable.
Thank you.
Utilize her and vote for her. You will not go wrong. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you, ma'am. We got 30 seconds. What's the thing you are most proud of that you did? 30 seconds. That one thing that you are so proud of. You'd be like, yeah, I did it, doing happy dance.
1984, the city took a vote along racial lines to create an MLK Drive, but to stop it at McKinley. I, along with my 14 other council members, was able to rewrite history and to extend MLK Drive all the way to Wisconsin Avenue. Righting that historical wrong and also taking a stand as a city that just because things in the past may have been done incorrectly, that we no longer had to exist that way.
That's a good way to end that one. Thank you, Alderwoman Coggs. I thank you for showing up to be a voice with Wisconsin Voices.
Thank you guys for having me.
And
get out and vote April 2nd.
Get out and vote April 2nd. Early voting starts March 19th through March 30th. Get out there. Be a voice. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow.
50.8% of Wisconsin voters are female. Women drive Wisconsin elections. Free was born in 2016 as the Women of Expo needed space to lift each other up and address the unique pathways and issues women face related to incarceration. Formerly incarcerated and system-impacted women want you to exercise your right to vote. If you're a woman with a prior felony conviction but are no longer on community